the department. Contribution of the employers higher than
Reflecting the cost of our,
Depends on where you sit.
okay. We go through the budget numbers.
Sure. You wanna go through each department, or you wanna go through the all departments?
Let's start with the summary page here, and then we'll go down into detail where questions.
Yeah.
Forget it, lunch is gone.
Isn't she bringing it here?
She is now.
Why is my kid?
We like them.
We have lunch with you all day.
Yeah. We don't wanna do that.
In the operations, the additional request is 286.
Yep,
That includes the
four personnel,
four personnel.
permanent department,
Okay,
not the
anything
call
else?
department.
Anything else in that number?
Nope,
Just the four additional?
just the four additional personnel.
Any questions regarding that at this point?
And
And these, the operation salary numbers basically represent the current contract that's still in effect.
That's right, contract is still.
And then under the call department, we just discussed that 9,900 is
for the,
per person. So that's the correct number?
it's $9,900 if you do the training and the personnel hours. That's their pay, that would be their pay, their salary for
That's
training.
their pay
That's their pay, estimated at 230
while they're
hours.
doing the training, okay,
Right.
understood.
And
That's
call
not
that.
per person, That's for all three,
Yeah.
correct?
Through all three.
That's for all.
3,300 feet.
Perfect, okay.
Okay, and then purchase services, next number down, $30,000, can you explain that? Additional request. I'm on the green sheet
You're on
looking
the
at
green
additional
sheet.
requests at this point.
The EMS is training. Nope, the EMS, the $30,000 is training for the department members that we presently have now. What I wanna do is to hire 4 new personnel as EMT paramedics. That $30,000 reflects sending 3 firefighters that we presently have now to school to become paramedics. 8, I already have 1 paramedic.
So this goes back to the proposal we talked about last year, where
Yes.
you hire 4 and then we train existing people to
Right.
the next level.
The next level.
So, can we talk about phasing this in as another option?
Well,
Where the training could
I
take,
looked at phasing this in as a 2-year package. Adding the 4 new personnel would be this coming budget year. Remember, every year we hire one guy, it costs us $36,000 to send them to school. If we bring in the 4 new personnel, we can send those personnel this year to school.
and it doesn't impact
Doesn't
anything,
impact us,
because we haven't implemented the overall change in the
Right.
shift structure.
and at the same time, we could start getting the other members into school, because the 12-week program that the new personnel would be going to the Mass Fire Academy. And at the same time, there'd be the 3 members that would be going to ALS school. So while those people were in school, the other people wouldn't be.
Members would be covering.
would be
their
filling the
shifts,
holes for them.
Would be incurring
Right.
additional overtime.
Right. I'm sorry?
We
We would
No,
not.
would not be.
would not.
Would not.
Would not. And after
And at the
everyone
end-
was trained, then we'd shift into the implement of the
Of the
increased
five-man shifts.
amount in the five-man shift.
to get the 2 in,
Or
2
we
out.
could, we could do five-man shifts wherever there was an additional person available.
Right.
That wasn't in training,
Right,
until we get to the point where everyone's trained, and then we
exactly.
fill in the shift. What about, I had, suggested if we were in this mode, right, would also, if we lost a man on a shift, right, would we fill that shift?
Well, we'd have to come down with the idea is if we're going to five-man shifts, we need to keep 5 men per shift. If we're hiring 4 guys to drop if we're hiring 4 personnel to make a 5-man shift and drop to 4, then what have we really done?
Well,
We've
I
created,
mean,
we've
the
added another
question is
person to the department.
How often does this occur, right, in terms of,
Personnel have vacations. Have vacation, holiday time,
I understand that.
it's gonna be a lot.
Be a lot. Another drawback to that is that if we're working to get to the 2 in, 2 out.
Yeah, I
achieving-
understand that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we drop back, then we fall back to where we are today. We're not getting the
Right.
2 in, 2
Well, we
out.
don't, yeah, I understand, but the issue is affordability and how you make a transition over time, okay?
Right.
So the question is,
And this is how I looked at this here. If we could transition this next year, possibility, and then bring them on board and keep the 5-man shifts the following year. Or the year after.
Well, getting back to the chairman's point here as far as affordability, I've probably been one of the small ones to come around to this whole way of thinking over the years, but, I think there needs to be some sort of understanding and compromise if we're gonna ease into this program. I don't consider a 2-year period to be an easy time period.
Well,
I think the acclimation probably has to
Well,
be
we're looking
longer
at-
than that. And again, we've talked about this before, if we're actually going to get control of the overtime budget, 4 new personnel isn't gonna do it either.
Right.
We only need 8 people.
We
You're not
do.
gonna save a dime, but you're
We
gonna
do.
have enhanced coverage, you're gonna then have your, 2 in, 2 out coverage, talk about additional, revenue sources to help supplement the budgetary process for the ALS. So on and so forth, we've had these conversations over the years. So I just think if we're going to get into this program at all, I think that's going to be a pretty clear understanding that it's not a 2-year transition period.
it was a 2-year transition period to do to the beginning of the stage. And what you wanna do to go to the next one would be to come back the following year for 2 more, would be for 4 more people.
I think, Steve is going beyond that from the point of view of saying, if we look at affordability in terms of
Mhm.
selling this to the community, in terms of getting support for it, and to be able to implement it, right? It's gonna be necessary in the process to reduce some of the overtime budget. To get to the point where you have 8 people, 8 staff members, and then, clearly you can maintain the reduced overtime budget.
Right.
Because you can afford to have 1 less person on shift when you're dealing with your standard vacation days, sick leave, or whatever.
But that only comes in the, like you say, hiring 8 people. That's where that would come
We're
in.
not gonna get all that when it's all through. And I think
Mm.
it's important to understand that, the 2 things, affordability and making sure the public's gonna support it. And the other one is obviously there's the safety of firefighters, the 2 in, 2 out, which is the goal. Again, in order to achieve that goal, I don't think we're gonna be able to, get that as soon as we'd like to see it, which was yesterday,
Right.
from an affordability standpoint. All the arguments make sense, but it's, from an affordability standpoint, a prioritization standpoint in relation to the entire overall budget, perspective, how can we get to this point? And I think we're looking at several budget cycles in order to get there. I don't wanna see us getting to a minimum manning level, mandated minimum manning level of 5 per shift. And you can't get beyond 4. You have to have 4 as a minimum anyway right now
Right.
to operate. But, I can't.
But along with the 4 personnel and the other 3 personnel going to school, comes a change in the operation, a better service for the community. Becomes ALS trained, not EMT.
So then let's
On that, also in that vein, comes in more revenue. Our opportunity to charge more for the service that we provide.
I still haven't seen a whole spreadsheet, which we've been asking for from the previous acting chief and the chief before him, and we haven't really seen a good analysis as to what we really think is the revenue stream. But that's fine. To me, it doesn't have to be a break-even point of view, because I agree that there's an enhanced benefit to it. And there's gonna be a cost to that. Now, the cost might be incrementally smaller, because if you're using the same number of personnel or do more to increase the level of service, you can increase the revenue stream.
Right.
But to get to, my concern is, meeting with community, when the board here, whether it be through the collective bargaining process or possibly through the budgetary process, at minimum manning level of 5 right now, and I don't see that, I can't see ourselves committing to that in a 2-year process, or even 3, because we need more personnel in order to get to that. If we eventually get 6 or 8 more people on, then it's gonna happen anyway.
Right.
But to mandate it, or to collectively agree to it through the collective bargaining process, I think it's too costly at this particular point in time. I'd rather have us have the flexibility to manage 5 levels when we can afford to. And if we have to run 4, as we've been doing for years, do it. And at the same time, start implementing some of these programs that you're talking about as part of the ALS. So that's a step for me.
Well, we've been running this manpower since 1967. I went back and did some charts and so forth out of, from 1966 they changed over to a new system. They went from 56 hours to 48. In 1966 they dropped over to 42 hours, which we are presently now. That brought the manpower to 3 personnel per shift with an officer and the fire chief and the deputy. In 1974, my father, who was also the fire chief many years ago in '74, wrote a fire analysis, and at that time there was 13 members of a permanent firefighter side. They had an extra guy, they had a floater. And in 1991, when that gentleman left the department, which was Chief Jack Powell at the time, he was Captain Jack Powell at the time, he left in 1991, we dropped back to our present level of 12 personnel, which is 16 guys. Got a 13-man permanent firefighter force, dropped to 12 firefighter force. And that's where we sit right now. The program that we hired, the municipal people that come in and do the benchmarking, and also the fire study, came back with the same analysis that we had in 1974, that we needed an unmanned fire station on the west side of town, and at least 5 people per shift. That goes back to 1967.
I'm not disagreeing with anything
I
you
don't
said.
think
How much
anybody,
longer does it take to
Nobody's
implement
disputing
it?
I don't think anybody on this board, right,
Yep.
refutes any of this. The issue is, how do we get there, right? And, and the bottom line is, we don't have the funds
To do it.
to do it. So we're trying to find some ways of getting there in incremental steps along the way, right? So I guess my view is that if we brought on 4 people and we continue to run 4 shifts when the 5th person isn't available, right? To reduce the overtime issue helps us to ease the program in. And that isn't gonna happen, as Steve mentioned, in a 2-year period. It's gonna take longer to get there. But if we don't do something, we'll be talking about this next year and the year
Right.
after and the year after. I had asked another question before your administration that I never got an answer to, and it was just alluded to. And that is that currently we have ALS through an outside vendor.
Yep.
Right, which means that we don't get the rapid response that we would get internally, because we never know where that ambulance is gonna be. But I had asked the question of how many ALS calls does this vendor get, and what are what's the revenue generated from that? We should be able to get to that, I would think.
I could have it if I was in my office. I have it on the wall.
Well,
But
at some
answer to the-
point, I don't expect it, I didn't expect an answer now to the question, but it is a question I have asked and no one has come up with the answer. And I think that would be a valuable piece to answer some of the questions the board has had associated with revenue estimates. At least that's